Hello and welcome. My name is Karina Lade and I'm an intuitive channel and healer, and I'm here as the co-creator of the No Limits event, a live event that will take place in Brussels in March 2017. And I had the great pleasure to have a conversation with the lovely Allison McGinley, who is a relationship coach. And Allison was here. She was with us at the last event, and Joanna and I are so curious to know what happened on your journey before, during, and after the last event. So hi, Ali, how are you?
I'm really well, thank you. Thanks for inviting me on to talk about it, because it has been some journey. I have to say it's been a hell of a ride.
Yeah, for sure.
And I shared a little bit before we started recording. So where was I before? I was right at the very beginning of my business, setting up my business. I hadn't set up my business. I was thinking about it, playing with it, trying to understand where I should go with it. I knew roughly what I wanted to do, but I had no idea how to start it. And for me, one of the things that I always have to mention when I'm talking about No Limits is how I got there in the first place, because we'd never met. I'd never heard of you. I'd never heard of Joanna. I was very new online. So there was no reason that I should have ever been there or met you or found this. But for some reason, I kept seeing this event. It kept flashing every time I switched my computer on. It kept flashing up. And I was really in a moment of crisis, thinking, I don't know what to do. I know I want to create something. I know it has to be online. I live in Italy. Italian's not strong enough to do what I want to do here in this country. So I need to be able to do something in English online. And that was about as far as I'd gotten with my ideas and my planning. It was going to be coaching. I thought it would be mindset coaching, because that's something that I'd worked a lot on in myself, and it was part of the diploma that I did. But this thing kept flashing over my screen, and eventually, I think after about the 400th time that I'd seen it in 12 hours, I was like, okay, so it looks like I'm going to have to sign up for this. I'm just going to have to do it. And I think I might have been the first one to sign up for it, or maybe the second one to sign up for it. And it was like, okay, so at least I've got something to look forward to now. I have no idea what's going to happen between now. I think that was in November or December, probably about this time of year, and March. But at least there's something. I'm going to go meet people, and they're going to be able to, they'll be talking my language. And actually, I had ideas that I'd already be set up by the time that we met. And that just wasn't the case, because it takes so long to get from the idea up here to something physical. So that's how I got to No Limits, completely by chance. I turned up not knowing a single soul, and for me that's a terrifying place. I'm not the most outgoing person in the world. I'm a bit socially inept until I get to know you. So for me, it was quite a terrifying prospect, and I was actually stepping up. It was really taking a big step out of my own comfort zone to put myself in the position. I had no idea how many people would be there, but I knew that I wouldn't know a single soul. And I set the intention when I went to the event just to be me, because I felt that was something that was really important. And if I was going to set myself up as something, then being me was something that I had to work on, because I had spent a lot of time being what other people thought I should be, or what I thought other people wanted me to be. So being me was what I took to the event with me. And it was really difficult. It was so difficult just not to put my mask on, and just to be quiet, and just to listen, and just to watch, and sort of interact in a quiet way with people and get to know people. But it was amazing. I walked away from it feeling like a different person, really feeling like a different person, and like I'd been completely true to myself. So what was funny for me was I didn't take many real connections away from that weekend. They came afterwards, because I felt, I felt the rapport with people then just from a different level, and I had to really, I can't think of the word in English, it comes to me in Italian. I had to really sort of work on that in myself, to then go and reach out to you and to the various other people that I'd met and really held my interest at the time. So it was an amazing experience for me. It's the first time I'd ever put myself in that position, and it was really the start of yet another of my transformations to the person that's sitting here today. So I've kind of gone off track a little bit. You're going to have to bring me back in.
Wonderful. I love that, Alan. It is really funny because the whole story, because Joanna and I were like, oh, Allison in Italy, do you know her? No, I don't know her. And it's so interesting because sometimes when there's a sign for us, like this is for you, it won't be obvious. It will, on the contrary, seem kind of crazy and random, but it keeps coming up. And then actually saying, I trust this, and I say yes to it, even if I don't really know what it is I'm saying yes to, which I think is so brave. And that it's great how you mentioned the whole process of saying yes and stepping up and doing that, right? And I think also, I find for a lot of introverts, it's like that time to process. So you meet a bunch of people, and then you're kind of bathing in that, and then you need a bit of time to process, and then you can reach out. And once it's kind of landed a bit inside you, which I think is great, because events can be really intense as well.
Yeah, and it was an incredibly intense event, and the energy in the room. I mean, I slept, I think, for 48 hours when I got back home. I was so emotionally drained from it. When I woke up again, when I came back to life again, I was so energized, and I felt like I could take on the world. But the energy in the room was something, again, I'd never felt before, probably because I was stepping into a different part of me. I was just going with who I thought I should be, just sort of letting go of the ego. And it was incredible. It was just, that sense that everybody was there supporting everyone else, and people didn't, I only realized afterwards that some people did actually know each other, but I didn't ever get that sense that I wasn't part of it. I never felt that I was on the extreme. I felt like I was in the center, just doing what I had to do and taking what I needed to take and giving what I needed to give. It was just, it was so powerful. I mean, and that's a completely personal thing. That's aside from the fantastic information that I took out, all the sort of business information that for me was really important, because as we all know, nobody likes to think that we're selling to people. It's not. That was something that I was really struggling with. How am I going to do this in a way that feels comfortable with me? And that was the other facet of what you gave us, was really the strategies from various people, different aspects of the business, and how to do that in a way that works with you and with your own heart, rather than being that sort of American salesy buy now or die kind of thing. And that's kind of what I was dreading. And I see it so much online. People are saying they're authentic, and they're saying, but if you don't buy it now, your life is going to be awful. I'm like, I want to do it.
Yeah, that's true. And it can be hard to kind of know what you need to do and what you don't, what isn't important. And that was really one of the main things we really wanted to share during the event, to show people who do that in a heart-centered way. And you can feel that when you're with someone, because it just feels like a genuine offering. And you know that if you say no, it's not a big deal. And you don't get that kind of, I want something from you energy. And it doesn't feel desperate, and it feels really good. And I think as heart-centered people and like soulful people, it's something just really clicks into place when you're like, oh, actually I can do it in this way. But it still means you have to put yourself out there. You can't just kind of float around and wait for them to magically come to you. But there's like finding the middle way between that, I guess, that is really important. And seeing people doing that, because even the talks, right? Because we didn't do everyone does a huge sales pitch talk, but it was like real talks with sometimes an offer, but not salesy. And the thing is, you want to buy from those people if you really connect with them, right? Yeah. And they're clear on what it is that they're offering. And so you don't have to like sell in that way, because it becomes really natural. And it's such a relief when you find that out, right? And you go, oh, right, I could do it that way.
All I have to do is be me.
Yeah.
You give benefit. And that was it. That's, and it's funny you're saying that, because as you were talking, I was thinking, so who have I worked with since? So my website's been built by somebody I met. My sales copy was written by somebody I met. I'm in a mastermind with somebody I met.
Yeah. And
two other people I met at the event are in the same mastermind as me. So,
yeah.
So we were small, you started it, which was beautiful. You kept it small to start with, which was really, which was great, because that's what I needed, from a purely selfish point of view. You maybe would have liked it bigger, but for me it was perfect. It perfect number of people, big enough that you got lots of value, but cozy enough that I didn't feel lost in it. And I can't think of a single person that I haven't had some sort of really deep connection with since that point, which is, you know, it's incredible. And at the time, sitting in that room, I couldn't understand how that would work, because I didn't see what we could have in common or what we could share or whatever. And it's, yeah, that's what's come out for me, is just this way of connecting with people and wanting to buy from them. Yeah, if I've got to buy a service, I want to buy it from that person who made me feel in this particular way. And that's one of the big things that came out for me, was I now know where to go, and I now know what to look for when I'm looking to buy services. Because let's be honest, as a newbie in the business world, I need a lot of help, which means I need to spend money in various ways. I want to spend money with people that make me feel that are not, you know, that are going to hold my hand and take me on the path that I want to go. And that was one of the big things that I got out of the event was exactly that. It was, you know, there are people that work the way I want to work.
Oh, that's so lovely. And that's one of the things that I really love too. It's because once you've met someone in person, although you can create really deep connections online, once you've met someone in person and you've seen them, you've seen how they are also with other people, and like during a few days, it's like you kind of trust that more, don't you? And when you need someone, it's easier to actually reach out to someone you've met. And I find it's easier. I keep sending people in my tribe to the people I've met in the event too, because I'm like, oh, she would be perfect. And also because you get a sense of who they are, their personality, because sometimes it's not just about the skills. It's about, okay, this person is really dynamic. I think you would love her. Or someone a little bit more, you know, softer or a little bit more introverted, that would really click with you. And it just seems much clearer, and it's great to have that network. And also I find in Europe, because a lot of these events seem to be like in the US or in Australia. And so it's great to have someone who's close as well, because there's something about also being based in Europe and the doing things in different languages sometimes. So it's great to have that kind of connection with someone who's doing that as well. It's really interesting how that's kind of spilling out. And when I see all of you, how you're connecting with each other and sharing things and collaborating and buying services from each other. And Joanna and I have as well, which is so great, right? Because it deepens that. And the really inclusive energy as well that I really loved, where you feel like we're all part of one. Because I didn't really know that many of you guys who showed up at the event and from before. So I was like, oh, this is going to be interesting. And there were lots of different types of personalities, right?
Yeah.
And many people from different parts on the journey, like some hadn't started their businesses yet, and some had like really big, super successful businesses. And just being next to someone like that, it raises your vibration, doesn't it? And then you dream bigger. You go, well, if she says that that's her goal every month, then maybe I can raise mine out of it, you know, because I think it's possible, which is so good, right? And everyone's supporting each other. So it doesn't feel like, you know, there are the cool kids and you're not part of that group, which you sometimes feel online, you know, you're like, oh, I wish I was friends with that person. And having that really inclusive, warm, like we're all in it together. So lovely, isn't it?
It was amazing. And what amazed me more than anything was just the amount of giving. You know, people were so willing to give their knowledge, their time, their help to anybody that was willing to ask for it. You know, of course, we've always got to go out, and for me, that's a big thing, stepping up and asking for help. But I really saw there that when, you know, the people asked and got, and people were so willing to, you know, to drag the rest of us along the journey with them. Okay, I'm 4, 5, 20 paces ahead of you, but come with me and I'll show you how it's done. You know, that was the atmosphere in the place.
Yeah, it was like your heart just exploded, right? Because it was so warm. And then how everyone was really sharing from like a vulnerable place, like the pain that you're in now. I know what that feels like because I've been there too, which created this kind of really deep, close connection. And it didn't feel like a business event in that moment, right? It felt like a sacred woman circle / business event / like it was just really expansive, and it feels like it started carrying us before we even met, and then during the event, and then after, because it feels like that energy is still it's still there, right? And it's still carrying us, which is so, yeah, so magical, isn't it? And so,
well, I mean, it's funny. Sorry.
Go ahead.
No, because of course I made some lovely business connections as well, but also I made some really close friendships, people that I feel like I've known for years. And I was talking to someone the other day, and I've only known you for 6 months. How can that be? I feel, you are so much part of my heart now that I can't. It doesn't seem possible that we've known each other for such a short time. Somebody that I would turn to in whatever event, it's just amazing. And it would, of course, it would take much longer out there in the real world where all, our guards are up a little bit. But you create an event like that. And, when you were talking, I had this flashback to going to the toilet and coming back in and just feeling the energy in that room. It was like, it was buzzing. It was,
yeah.
Okay, let's go. It was kind of like that. What am I going to get now? It was incredible. I'd never really been in a situation like that before, and I suspect it's going to be a long time before we actually manage to recreate it again, because the bigger it's going to be, because I assume you're going to let more people in this time. I assume it's going to be a bigger event this time.
We think so too, because it feels like it needs to grow, and for the next event that's taking place next year, March 24th to 26th in Brussels as well. It's going to be for, people taking that next step and wanting to leverage, once you have a lot of one-on-one clients, or maybe you have programs, but you want to open them to maybe a bigger tribe, or you want to do something a bit more high-end, or really expanding your message and expanding your reach as well, and all the stuff that goes with that, the inner work and the support and just amping everything up. So it feels like the event is growing, and we have to kind of grow with it, which is an interesting ride. And so yes, more people, but somehow I think Joanna and I both wanted to still feel really intimate and warm. And I think when the energy is right and things are, in alignment, you just call in the right people, because it just feel like it was the perfect amount of people for the first one. Yeah. And I'm sure it's going to be the perfect amount for the second one. And I think it's really to do with the energy that's created and the people who come, if it feels, too much or not. Of course, it's always intense. So it's nice when you can take, a few months to go and like breathe a little bit and get some air. Yeah, because it's a lot to integrate. I think so. Yeah, so that's really exciting. Oh, thank you so much for sharing, Ali. And so,
the other thing I was thinking as we were talking, the credit goes to you and Joanna. If you think about how many people were at that first event that are here talking to you now because we're coming to the next event, there's no there's no question. I would say 3/4 at least of us are already signed up for the next event. The ones that aren't are because already they're booked out elsewhere. And the conversation whenever I'm talking to people, it's always about, I see you in Brussels. Yeah, definitely see you in Brussels. There's no question in any of our minds that we're not going to be there. So that's to be able to carry people forward for a whole 12 months on that energy is amazing. So congratulations to you two for being able to do that.
Thank you. Oh, that's so sweet. I just feel like there's something that kind of that we called in, but it doesn't feel like it's really ours. Like we feel like we're holding space for it, but then I think that's what happens too when you have these amazing women who are super keen to move forward and who are willing to do their own inner work, because then it's like we're all creating it together somehow, and everyone brings their own flavor, and it's just like this. Yeah, it feels very, like a giant circle, right? And everyone's like leaning into each other. Everyone's bringing something, giving something, receiving something, which is so magical. I think it's really fun. And it was so funny because we were preparing the first event. I was like, so when's the next one? I was like, wow, let's just get through the first one, right? And then I'll think about it. But because it's a lot of work to put on a live event, but it felt like something that once you start, you kind of have to keep going because there's something around it, and then it's like we're all carrying it, right? Somehow.
Yeah. I know. By the end of it, we're all such close friends. In fact, the last day we all went out to lunch together. I'm like, okay, so you're going to the States and you're going there, so we'll see you next March. back for the same thing. So there was never any question that what wouldn't happen again. We just needed to wait for you to catch up with it.
Exactly.
They sleep and decide that yes, it was going to go forward.
Yeah. Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you so much. I can't wait to meet everyone in March. It feels like connecting again with some of the same people and the new people coming in. I think it's going to be magical. And it feels like people, they kind of know if it's right for them or not. They don't always know why, but it's like that. Yeah. There is something special about meeting live, though, I find, that you don't really get online. And it's quicker and it's deeper, and it's like you can trust that a little bit more. And there's because the online world is the online world. Like, you don't always know what's true in with it.
What's going on behind it? I mean, there's nothing better than sitting in a room full of women bawling their eyes out together.
Yeah. Oh gosh, we cried so much, and we laughed so much. I had that was the best workout, right? Because we laughed so much, and it was like all the things that I love, like the heartwarming and the close and the vulnerable. Yeah. Anyway, great. And so do you want to share a bit about what your life looks like now when it comes to your business and kind of where you're heading now, because you're on your way?
So now, what came out of the event for me was, as I say, I went into it with this vague idea. I was coaching. I was a personal development coach. I thought it would be mindset. And during my conversations with people there, what came out was, you keep talking about how you resolved your various relationships. Why don't you concentrate on that? And as soon as it was something that had been inside me and I wouldn't admit to, it's there. I didn't want to, because I didn't want to admit that I had to work hard on my relationships with my mother, with my husband, whatever. But when it was put out there, that was it. So from there, I started down my path. I'm now a relationship coach, a relationship transformation coach, even whichever, depending which hat I want to put on or who I'm talking to. And I work with people who, I work mostly one-to-one, and as you say, up-leveling. My next plan is to go sort of into group coaching as well. But I work one-to-one with people who are stuck in that space in their marriage or their relationship where it is, I feel like I've got no option. It's either stay and put up or go and take my chances, and neither of which seems like a particularly great option at the moment. And I help them go deep and help them go back inside. And when you do that inner work, I'm telling you this, and you know better than anyone, when you do that inner work, everything changes. The dynamic in every relationship, not just your romantic relationship, but in every relationship begins to change. And suddenly you realize that you've got different options. And you absolutely know whether you stay, whether you go, whether it's workable as it is, whether you can start, moving within the relationship, or whether really it's time to move on. But you move on with a different energy, because you move on knowing what you need to know, so that you don't keep repeating the same patterns. Because as we were talking about earlier, we keep repeating the same mistakes until we've learned the bloody lesson. Yes. So that's where I am now. I'm now a relationship coach. That's who I work with. And it's beautiful. It's amazing work. I love being able to take my own experience, having gone through it, and being able to step into it and say, this is my experience, this is what happened to me. And with my husband, I recreated the relationship. With my mother, unfortunately, I didn't. I've got these two different facets now that kind of help me understand and empathize and hold space for women and men, actually, because that was something else that came out for me, was I don't need to work just with women. I work very well with men. That's kind of what I do, and I love it. And I'm so grateful for No Limits, and I'm so grateful for the people there that kicked me up the backside and sort of pointed me in the right direction, and sort of then kicked my backside again and sent me off to do what I need to do, and have continued to hold me accountable over these last, I suppose it's 7 or 8 months now since the event. So we keep talking about it. Who knows where we're going to be come March? I don't know what story I'm going to be able to tell you in March, but I'd never have believed, I would never have been here without the event. I'd never have been here without you and Joanna holding the space for us and putting the group together of wonderful women that I met to help carry me forward. So thank you.
Oh, beautiful. Thank you, Ali. I'm so happy to hear this, and I think it's beautiful. I'm going to watch you and everyone else who attended, how I see you blossoming online, and I can feel the confidence, and it's like something is landing, right? And you can go out and do your work. And sometimes it's like hearing other people say, you're really good at this, why don't you do that? And then you hear it again and again, and it's like, oh, maybe I can do that. And usually it's something that's very close to us, right? It's the stuff we do all the time, and it's the stuff that we work on for ourselves all the time. But sometimes we're too close to see that. So having someone else come with that input and being that mirror, for us, which is so awesome. And I hope we get to meet lots of people who feel, connected to the event in the next year. And it's amazing. It's going to be so interesting to see what's where we will all be at in March, right? Because it's just been 8 months, and it feels like a lifetime. Deep transformation, both inner and the outer as well. So I'm super happy that that it was valuable, and that you really got what you wanted from the event, and that you feel that support, because support is one of the key things when it comes to growing your business, like both practical and emotional and spiritual, like all of the support. Because I think that's one of the big parts in up-leveling too, isn't it? To have more support, so you feel strong enough and you have space to land and crash when you need to, and then keep going, right? Because when you don't have coworkers in that sense, like when you're not working for someone else, then you kind of have to make sure you have all those parts, right? And especially for someone who does work like you do, right, where you hold space for others, I think it's so important to have the right support for you, so you feel stronger and you don't, you release the stuff that you take on sometimes for clients, and so that you can really hold more space and expand in that sense, which is just magic.
That's so true. And that's it. That's something that I think maybe when we start in business, we've no idea how much, especially if you've worked, I'd always worked in a corporate environment, and it's kind of like being a kid in school. You're told what to do and you're given a bit of leeway, and then you go into, you take yourself into your own business, and you've no idea, or I had no idea how much emotional support I needed, and how much I needed to be able to trust in other people and to be able to ask for help. And that's been a huge thing for me as well, actually being able to stand up and ask for help. And and that's 90% of the people I ask for help for, I met at No Limits in one way or another, whether it's, can we have a virtual coffee because I need to offload, or can you just show me how to do X, Y, and Z because I don't know what to do with my website. That's, I've now built that network, and it's, as I say, 90% from the No Limits. It's incredible.
Oh, that's wonderful. I'm so happy to hear that. That stuff is priceless, like having the right contacts. You don't need a million different people, but you need those few people you can really trust, and that it feels good to ask for help from, and where it flows and it's warm and it's wonderful. I think that's like, if we don't have that, it's really hard to succeed as an entrepreneur, because then it's just you, and whenever you have like a bad day, you kind of stay in that for a while, and it's so great to have the right support. Oh, well, thank you so much, Ali, for taking the time to talk with me today. And can't wait to see you again at the next event, and lots of other people who feel the call as well to kind of really connect in with more support and learn more about how to leverage, your energy and time.
Huge.
Yeah. I think it's going to be huge and so magical. And I can't wait. So it's March 24th to 26th, 2017 in Belgium, in Brussels again. And I can't wait. And so I'll put the links to the beautiful website that Jody Pivor created with the help of the branding expert Sashka, Hannah Rappel, who were also at the event and who will be at the event again in March. So you can find all the information and book your ticket there. And if anyone has any questions, just reach out to me or Joanna, and we'd be happy to help. So thank you so much, Ali, and have a beautiful, beautiful day.
You too.
Thank you.
Bye.